A new year, a new coaches show here on Unicom Channel 22. My name is Cosmo with the head coach and athletic director of the Cougar basketball team, Bob Burchard. Coach, Happy New Year.
And to you as well.
And time we fly at it now. You guys jump up to number 4 now in the top 25, 14-1. And let's talk about the home and home series, or the home and home series that you guys had with Philander Smith, a newer program on your schedule. I don't know if you guys have played them over the years or not, but they got you at their place and you returned the favor here. Talk about that double header, if you will, of games.
Two great games, Cosmo. It's the first time we've ever played. Flanders out of Little Rock, Arkansas, and they've had a very talented team for several years, been in the national tournament, and so we really thought it was a good time in our schedule. A little bit odd to play a team back-to-back like that, kind of an NBA type circumstance. And as it turned out, very interesting since we lost in a real nail biter down there. Just a great game, and then turned around and got them back at our place in another great game. Very talented team. Their coach has Missouri ties, and I thought it was really good for our team to be challenged like that.
The game here, I know that you guys were down and had to battle your way back, and they certainly brought a big presence down low inside, and the kid outside was shooting threes from Centralia, I think, and hitting just about everything he threw up there. And certainly that inside outlook gave you fits for a while, but you guys were able to adjust and turn things around in the second half.
Well, they're really big inside. We're very familiar with their big kid, Chris Ward, who's out of Springfield, Missouri. Then played at Three Rivers Community College, so we knew about him. I'm not sure we knew how to deal with him, but we certainly knew his talent. And then the March kid is a great scorer that actually didn't play for them in the first semester, played for him last year, and got eligible that semester, and averaging about 28 points a game. Very long, skilled, NBA type range player. And I really felt, after watching him up close twice, that he's the type of guy who can continue playing. At what level to be determined, but just in terms of his size, length, and anybody that can shoot the ball with that kind of range and covered. I mean, they weren't all open shots. Is going to find a team to play on someplace.
Most definitely. And you followed that up back into the conference play and went over to St. Louis and had the reunion with Coach Brock, your former assistant coach, and of course brother of your current assistant, the head coach now of the Mobap Spartans, and both the men and women's from Columbia College went in and got a victory. Talk about the win in St. Louis.
Well, another tough conference game. Matt's doing a great job with their team. He got a player eligible at semester who's really a difference maker, and they're huge inside as well. Cosmo, probably the biggest guy we've had in our league, maybe ever. And 7-footer, about 300 pounds, and so it was a real chore for our guys to be able to defend around the basket. We played just all right in the first half there. Obviously, Missouri Baptist was very well prepared for what we do and our players. I thought they were very schooled in how to defend our guys, which you would expect. And then the second half, I thought we got on a roll, made some shots, got the ball moving a little bit better, got some stops, put together some stops, and got ourselves a lead.
And you guys, Nick Reynolds especially off the bench for you guys, and has just been he was a great player the last year before, but this year it seems to be a little extra something in his tank to really fire off. Talk about what he has meant to this ball club.
Well, he's very aggressive offensively. Obviously, he shoots the ball with range. I think the thing that I've been most pleased with is his communication and understanding, Cosmo. In practice and in games, he's talking a lot, and he's talking about very important things for the success of the team. And, that just shows a lot of maturity, and I think that's carried over into his play out on the floor. I'm glad he's on our team.
Sure.
And he's very active, and I think his early in his career is really turning into a leader on the team.
And then at the opposite end of the spectrum, Zach Rockers, who's been here before, obviously with the experience level, and he's having another solid campaign, and to talk about a classic leader. He's a definition of a Cougar basketball player if there ever was one.
Well, without question. If you could put the prototype out there, you would, plug him in there. He hasn't put up huge numbers all year, but I think what you said is exactly right, that he's been very consistent, workmanlike in how he's played. We had to change positions with him a year ago, and he's really kind of grown into that position. And now his three-point shooting is back to where we expected it to be all year. So I'm expecting a nice second half from Zach.
Who's a guy that maybe has exceeded some expectations from you and the rest of the coaching staff, which you will obviously gladly accept, but maybe somebody that's shining a little brighter than maybe you thought originally might?
Well, I think two of our new guys are really on an upward trajectory, Cosmo. Jesse Brown, we recruited late in the recruiting season, and then he broke his hand, and that put him back for a month. And so he's just on this steady incline. And I'm very happy he is. I think his offensive game is coming around. He's very active. He's a very strong post defender. And now you're starting to see some offensive production. And then Preston Whitfield is, quickly turning into a sophomore. He's a bit of a disadvantage. Our sophomores were talking about it after the Missouri Baptist game, in that, Jackson and Nick came in together, and so they at least had each other to commiserate with about being freshmen. And Preston's our only freshman, and he's kind of been hanging out there. And then, now he's getting more comfortable. You get a semester under your belt. You can do college level work, both as an athlete and a student. And he seems to be more comfortable every time we play. Had a great game at Missouri Baptist, career high of 16 points.
And now the schedule, you look ahead, just the game of the week, it's all number 4 Columbia, number 3 Freed-Hardeman, and then Williams Baptist on Saturday. Freed just lost to Williams Baptist, and then they come in here to Southwell Complex. Talk about what you need to do to stop Isaiah Harrison, who I think has a double-double in just about every game he suits up for. The Lions are a load for sure.
Well, I think they're one of the best teams in the nation, obviously. They have a Division I win this year, NCAA Division I. They are an explosive offensive team. They play with a lot of depth. They shoot the three a lot and effectively. And then the Harrison kid is really active in the post. He's not a big bruiser type player, but he's extremely long and quick. He's a quick jumper, and he's just very explosive in how he plays. So I think that term I've used now a couple times is explosive, and so they're going to test our defense, and I think they're going to test our resolve in terms of playing a 40-minute game. Because they make you play the whole 40 minutes.
Down the stretch, we're just into the first week of January, but the rest of the way out, conference-wise, it's games nonstop, pretty much, working in the practice time, and obviously the student athletes with their classroom time. What, if anything, changes in the way your team practices or handles practice as you move through the meat of the season, heading for the tournament?
Well, we're right at the halfway point of our season, and from here on out, it is all conference play. And I think now you finally get into a rhythm of games and play, as you were in practice, as you were describing. So we tried to build a rhythm of days that we really isolate our practice towards fundamental work, days that we start to prepare for that week's games, and then I think your time shrinks just a little bit, Cosmo. I really tried to fit our practices in a typical class time period, and not a 50-minute class, maybe an hour and 20-minute class, but to try to keep guys fresh and keep them going. But without question, college basketball now starts to heat up, and you get into all conference play. You get into playing people home and away second times, and eventually a third time, and so you have to evolve as this long college basketball season progresses.
I know before we sat down to film here, you were on the other side of the camera technology and watching film with Coach Brock and your players. Talk a little bit about that process, and I know Coach Thomas Brock this season has been a big part of that preparation of your team, of your players, getting them ready in the scouting report, if you will.
It's changed our lives dramatically, the technology, Cosmo. We use a company called Synergy, and they have so much information available to you that it really, I think, simplifies and helps organize your scouting of opponents. We used to go physically out and watch teams play 2 and 3 times. Now all our games are uploaded to this company. We can break down multiple games. You can break it down from every angle imaginable and be able to condense it for our guys. And I think, as we've talked about before, we can share information so readily now with our guys' electronic devices. And so hopefully when they're looking at their phones every now and then, that they might be looking at a play that's going to happen later in the week.
One Facebook update, one play, one watch. We'll take a quick break, come back with head coach Bob Burchard, and talk about some things that have gone down here at Columbia College. There's just a few big events that have taken place over the last couple of months, and a couple other questions for the athletic director side of the job that Bob Burchard has here at Columbia College. We'll come right back here on the Coaches Show on MediaCom Channel 22.
Business internet. Business phone and TV for my customers. A MediaCom business bundle, only $89.95 a month.
Clearly, you're preoccupied.
All I can think about is how much money I'm saving.
When did this begin?
When I switched to MediaCom business, of course.
$89.95.
The truth is, it makes perfect sense to switch and save with MediaCom Business.
So, how about $89.95 for all my sessions?
No.
Cougar basketball heating up, both the men and women. The women's squad for Coach Jessica Keller up to number 8 and undefeated on the women's side. What a day for Petrolina Chilaka with 42 points, a record day at Mobap. Did you get a chance to watch her? I know you were prepping for your men's game, but you probably saw at least a few of those baskets go in, didn't you?
It was an amazing performance, Cosmo, and I'm always amazed at how people are so aware of records and what's happening. And you could tell that when she was closing in on the three-pointer and the total point record, that the team was totally engaged in that happening for her, which I think tells you a lot about that team. She certainly got on a roll. I think the women's team is doing outstanding, obviously, and they're on a roll. And I've really enjoyed watching them work. When you do play doubleheaders, you get a chance to see each other a little bit more. And then I've had the opportunity over the break to watch practice, and Jessica and Taylor and Becca are doing a great job preparing that team.
It's a great story for PC, who's battled injuries over the last really 2 seasons to finally be 100% healthy, and then having some big time rewards coming along with that play. For yourself, past the 700 mark in career wins, and honored for that here the other night. And then there's a name that you're familiar with now on the basketball court here, Bob Burchard Court. Talk about the range of emotions that went through your mind that evening here at Southwell Complex.
Well,
Afternoon, actually, I guess.
well, yeah, a lot of range, and you couldn't put it any better on Cosmo. It's very humbling. You know, when I was told that was going to occur, it was kind of jaw-dropping. You know, those things are reserved many times when people are long gone. So, as I told Dr. Dalrymple, that if he gets tired of me or it, you know, a little bit of sandpaper and some paint thinner can take care of it. But I think the other really neat thing, Cosmo, was how many of the people that Faye and I have worked with for 28 years were able to be here, starting with Glenda Filbert, wife of Gary Filbert, who passed away a few years ago, and certainly was my mentor and got me into college coaching and got me to Columbia College. Don Ruthenberg, the president that hired Faye and I to be here 28 years ago. It was awesome to see him. And to be able to thank somebody personally for having such a major role in your career and life, and then Dr. Bruder was here as well, and and then of course Dr. Dalrymple. So we had 3 presidents in line there, and Terry Smith, who served as interim president. So I had the opportunity to thank each one of them personally. Dr. Ruthenberg for hiring us, Dr. Bruder for keeping me hired,
Right.
and trying to convince Dr. Dalrymple to keep me hired as well. So a special day.
The performances on the court for sure have helped with that. And then you had the game against Philander Smith, and that was quite a battle. I know you probably wanted to win the game, obviously, but obviously to get the first one on Bob Burchard court was important, and it came to fruition. Also in the school, the volleyball squad, Melinda Rye Washington's team, on a heck of a run. They ran all the way through the national tournament in their 22nd appearance, and they've been so close over the last half a dozen years or so. A couple of Final Four trips and into the finals once or twice, I believe, and then to finally get it done again and win a national championship for Columbia College on the volleyball side was a great run here in December.
Amazing. Not amazing that our volleyball team, under the direction of Melinda Rye Washington, is in that position. Amazing to watch them do it and be a part of it. It's their 2nd national championship under her leadership, 4th overall for the program. And I think the neatest thing is just the community that was involved in following team and championships, and just the all around good feeling you have to watch somebody achieve at such a high level. I was telling somebody earlier that we need to spread all these big events out just a little bit, I guess, but great surprises are unplanned, and I know they plan to win, and but to see the joy and to have the gathering here in Dorsey Gymnasium, again, of all the important people in the program, was really a fun way to end the semester.
Well, the way they came back on MOBAP to win the conference championship down 2-0, to win 3 in a row to win that, and then go on and sweep the whole tournament, and then beating Missouri Baptist in the title. That's 3 of the last 4 teams to play for the championship. You go back to Park's win last year, were from the AMC conference, and it's really a huge feather in the cap for this conference on how it's grown, and for the schools that have put strong volleyball programs.
Well, without question, Cosmo, and conference-wise, it seems like volleyball is either a Midwest, sport, or certainly a far West Coast sport, and so it's nice to bring those titles back to the Midwest. The other thing that Melinda does a great job is she schedules, to be in that position, and that we kind of started the year and ended the year with the exact same grouping of schools. And, I know she didn't think the team performed as well, as new as they were in that first, but they got it when it really counted.
They did, yeah. The final 4 teams were here at Southwell to begin the year, and then finished in Iowa. And there's a new red banner that needs a new spot in the Southwell complex. One quick thing to get to as well, I get asked a lot about the status of baseball, and obviously Coach Munz is recruiting and signing players left and right. Seems like every few days there's another press release and photo up of a young man sitting at a table with Coach Munz wearing a ball cap and going to come play baseball for Columbia College. Where will the team play? Do we know yet? We're still waiting on the final word. That's kind of the big question that everybody wants to know.
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm not going to answer. We know where we're going to play. We're just not announcing it right now. But I do think this, Cosmo, that Darren is doing a great job. We're so far ahead of where we thought we'd be in terms of building our roster. There's still a whole nother recruiting cycle out there, of junior college and after the baseball season in the spring that's going to occur. But to be in the position we're in right now is really spectacular. And you are right. We're seeing baseball players come through here daily for visits.
And exciting time for sure, building that program up. It'll be exciting to catch up and see where that ends up going through, and building not only that but track and field and where everything else is with the athletic teams that have doubled. Well, congrats again on the honor of the Bob Burchard Court and the 700 wins. Sorry I didn't have another 19 cases of Diet Coke this time around, but
I'm glad you didn't.
But again, head coach Bob Burchard, big game this week with Freed Hardman, and then on Saturday, and then the following weekend, William Woods in town for a doubleheader. Full schedule of events and more online at ColumbiaCougars.com. Coach, thanks for your time. Good luck this week.
Thank you, Cousin.
All right, Coach Bob Burchard, Columbia College Cougars. Wrapping up this coaches show here on MediaCom Channel 23.